Now we're looking at load intolerance. So your spine doesn't like a lot of load on it. So if it's a heavy weight, it's not great at it. So far, these here are 16 kilos. So I've lifted up 2 and I've lifted up 1. So the first and most simple thing to do is just reduce the weight. If it doesn't like certain amounts of load, now I'm not saying that you need to start at 16, you need to go down to 12 like I'm going to do. The load is specific to you. So if it aggravates at 100 but it's okay at 80, then I recommend staying at 80. Or if it aggravates at 50 but it's fine at 40, then you do that. So all we're talking about is if there is a sort of a maximum load that your spine can tolerate, I'm just saying stay within that. Now that isn't the whole therapy. There are more things to do within that, so you can then go back up over that 100 or back up over that 50 or back up over this 16, whatever it may be. Again, that's not I'm not saying 16 kilos to 12 kilos is going to solve your lower back pain. I'm just saying that reducing weight in a spine that doesn't like excessive load is probably a wise thing to do. So if we move from this one to this one, that's a very simple modification that I can make to the squat to be able to make it a little bit more of a therapy, so I'm not aggravating my lower back. That will desensitize the pain, and then that will be able to allow the healing process to take place. So again, the squat would be exactly the same, I'm just using a lighter weight. So that's very simple. Now, if we're thinking about using the same weight, so we still want to lift that 50 kilos or that 100 kilos, what are some things that we can do to be able to minimize the risk of a problem? Well, it's essentially, it's heightening the activity of more muscles. And the two that we're going to talk about, one is the glutes and one is the lats. So again, if I go back up to this 16, which would normally aggravate my lower back, let's say. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to brace. So I'm going to brace the abdominals, I'm going to brace the lats, and how I do that is just simply bring the shoulders back and then push them down. And then I'm going to activate the glutes when I get to all the way through the movement. I'm going to try and engage my glutes. So again, we come down into this position and then we come up. In fact, shoulders back and down, tummy tight, squeeze the hips at the top. And then again, keep the shoulders back and down, keep the lats engaged, squeeze the hips at the top. So that's just very simple ways of trying to manage the load going into your back. Now, the reason I can use the same weight if I then consciously activate lats, glutes and abdominal wall is because the load is being spread out on the back. If you're already activating those 3 muscles and it's still causing you a problem, it's probably wise to reduce the weight. If you're not consciously doing that and bracing, then that may allow you to lift that extra weight because the load isn't being concentrated on the lower back, it's being spread out around the torso through the lats, the glutes and the abdominal wall. So it's not just a simple case of saying don't exercise, don't use that exercise. It's understanding the lower back, it's understanding the pain trigger, and then trying to understand how we can then go about managing that and how we can use the squat as a means of therapy to be able to not only rebuild the lower back but also reduce the pain.